Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Mildly Competitive Podcast. Today, we've got almost the full crew with us here, and we've got a couple topics we want to cover. First things first, we want to talk about some testing results with Obsidian Flame, with what little we were able to test with the set. Next up, we want to mention our thoughts on the Worlds event overall, and some announcements that they had at Worlds. And we want to wrap it up with a discussion on best of one versus best of three decks. And kind of how you should approach those. So let's go ahead and introduce who we've got today. We have DJ, Daniel, Eric, Trenton, and myself. How are we doing today?
I'm good.
All right.
Hello.
Yeah, it's been a hot one out here. Middle of August.
Right.
Super excited.
I had to turn off my AC, and I made sure that I was probably clothed for the heat.
Well, talking about lazy
The heat.
Yes.
Talking about bringing the heat, the fire, and the thunder. Let's talk about Obsidian Flames and how it doesn't really change much of our testing. Has anyone done much with a card from Obsidian Flame?
I mean, I think we've all tried Charizard.
Yeah, we're all
Right.
kind of so because we on our league last Saturday, I bought an ETB and opened up 2 alt art Charizard illustrator rares, and so I'm like, well, I might as well just go ahead and look and get into the deck.
And then I bought an ETB and pulled the 3rd gold Charizard.
So we put the deck together. I've been playing it online. I've been trying a bunch of different builds. Initially doing the Arceus only build with it was Arceus as a 2/2 Charizard barrel. And it was fine. Like it was okay. I won games, but then some games were just sitting there like I got nothing. Like I'd sit on Arceus with no way to get V-Star, have a Charmander with no like evolution pieces, a Bidoof with nothing, and just like no ways to draw cards. I don't know if it was the build. It just didn't feel good.
That's because Pidgeot's better.
So I've got a Pidgeot build. I tried. I didn't even see Pidgeot in any of the games I was playing. I think what I'm going to pivot to is more of a leaning into Mew and VIP Battle Pass, which I hate because I don't think VIP Battle Pass as a card should exist. I don't like it, but it feels like a deck that needs it. So I'm going to try that.
I've played against Charizard with Arceus and Pidgeot. Every single game they have got, like my opponent, when I've played against it, has got the Arceus V-Star into the Pidgeot EX into the Charizard EX first turn or second turn every game.
That's because you're playing like online. The opponents always have it, right?
That's true.
They will just always, no matter what it is, what the combo deck is, what the lines are, they will always have it.
Yeah, my issue is just like my thought process is I want to get like 2 Charizards up and running, and that's what gets me really into the game. So I need 2 Charmanders, probably 3. Then I need my Manaphy because a lot of decks are going to snipe it. It, of course, depends on the matchup, but most decks are going to try to snipe it, so I need to get one of those out. Then I've only got 1 space left plus the active.
That's
So it's
true,
like-
but
it's
most
a lot
people
of
I've
room.
seen haven't even got like a second Charizard out. They just get one Charizard out and then just use that in Arceus.
I don't feel like that's enough.
It usually
It
is.
is. Yeah.
I mean, it's an Unga Bunga deck, right? Like, it is a set up 1 Mon attack.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like you need any more than one. If you get a second one, you just win. If you have one, you probably still win.
So you probably just need to pivot your mindset to just be doing
A
a
single
single
Charizard,
Zard, a
Pidgeot,
single Arc,
Arc.
maybe.
Yeah.
And if they snipe it, you just attack with Arceus.
There's no real way to power Arceus, though.
Yeah,
Charizard.
If they snipe the Charmander, no, you're not.
I mean, you're
Well, they're not.
playing a double turbo, right?
I've been flip-flopping on it. I've thought about it.
I mean, just get 2 Charmander down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I should just have all the cards. You're right.
You just
Yeah.
draw the cards.
Yeah, just have.
Just be the opponent. Have all the cards.
I've been messing with some of it. The Radiant Charizards actually felt pretty great as an alternate attacker for the late game. That has felt really good.
Especially if your opponent plays grass, you're just like, all right, you're dead.
Yep.
If grass didn't need enough kicking.
And then
Yeah.
Magma Basin as like a one of has been pretty good just to get the a little later in the game, especially with the lower energy counts. I've been trying to stick to 10, but some decks have been cutting down to 7, which feels bad.
Seems really low.
So like, yeah. So I've been like, Magma Basin's been a good way to get the Charmanders powered up, because you can't do it on Charizard. You can't do it on the EX Charizard because it's not a fire Pokemon. So
Right.
you have to do it on the Charmanders, which is risky because then you run into the problem of it's a really easy snipe target for a bunch of different attacks at that point. So it's like, is it really even worth running? So that's been my dilemma also. I'm kind of considering going to almost more like the Arcturas right now, where you're running like the Lost City engine and just ways to just deny recurring resources from the discard. Because you really don't need the stadium spot. Except for
True.
maybe Artisan.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's worthwhile to look at what the old Reshizard list would look like and kind of see what the deck building process was for that.
Worker.
I know we're not gonna have anywhere close to the like
Yeah.
trainer and supporter lineup, but I think the idea of, because that was a big basic deck. You put down your big guy and you try to attack. So maybe there's merit in looking at how it worked back then to see how. I think nowadays it's just too vanilla. Like, you're not doing enough stuff, and maybe it's fine, but not doing enough stuff and only doing 180, maybe that's not fine.
It gets better as the game goes late, so you kind of want to put Shuds up to die, is the idea. Because then you start getting progressively stronger.
Yeah.
If you can
so
give
run
them, if you can
one-
give them a one prizer at some point, then they have to take the two prize. They have to take.
Oh, so we play Fortress Charizard.
It needs double
No.
fire.
You just you're leading
Knock it out for
attackers,
zero.
Arceus. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you just have Wu Shen. You play, or you could even just put it onto your Arceus.
Your Arceus and your Wushin, and then if
Yeah.
your opponent
Yeah.
plays Charizard, they also die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's
so
the
we need
Charizard counter.
even more basics on the bench.
Mm-hmm. Well, you put down one Fortress, one Charmander,
A
one
Skyfield.
Arceus. I don't think you need Skyfield.
Man, I'd kill for a Skyfield.
Yeah, I've been looking at Japanese lists, and they've been doing some interesting stuff. Me and DJ were kind of talking it over with some of their energy counts. Running Jet Energy is super interesting, but it also feels kind of weird. A lot of the lists tend to run also like Entei. Some I've seen Victini. Some run the Delphox.
Entei's broken.
Entei being 230 is actually super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, 230 gets you out of a lot of ranges. And then being a fire Pokemon's fine, but then getting the extra card draw is also kind of cool.
Is it weak to water?
It is weak to...
Yeah.
Water.
Is it water?
Okay.
It is water.
I was just curious with like Chen Pao if it
is
runs
weak
around.
to water.
Like if you could come up with an alternate attacker for that plan.
Yeah.
Besides, I mean, just Charizard, but like another alternate attacker.
I mean, a lot of the time you just one-shot Shenpao anyway with the Entei.
True.
Yeah, the reason I like Entei is it's with Magma Basins. If you ever Ultra Ball the Fire Energy and then Jet the active, you're swinging anywhere from 100 to 180 damage based on the state of the game, especially if you went second. Which is putting a lot of pressure, right? Because Charizard in the early game 2 shots, and if Entei ever gets dealt with, like, it automatically puts your Charizard up to 240, which gets a lot better numbers when it comes to taking down basic Vs. Now with Delphox, when you do hit the 240s on B stars, like you do have boss plays to like take out of the barrel, Arceus B stars, or you can still spread out your damage with the Charizard evolution. So that's my take on Charizard and what I've been playing with. Two Enteis and Delphox. Playing 4 Seal Stones with Arvins. Because Arvin's just the strongest supporter if you go second. You can find VIP best.
I love the Arvin Forest Steel engine. It's so good.
Yeah. So you get the Seal Stone, get your V Pokemon, Seal Stone, get your VIP pass, and then you're set up for set up. So playing it that way, then you're definitely turn to that if you want to get set up consistently. Because even if you naturally find the VIP passes, then you could save the Seal Stone for either Pidgeot or Rare Candy to then go find the other pieces. Because once a Charizard set up, games can be decided by quick search boss, quick search boss.
Yeah, I'll need to do some more testing. I want to play Arceus just because that's what I've played for so long, but I think it may not be the right call.
The Arceus is 100% right. Arceus Pidgeot, broken.
There's just so much room. It's so much bench space.
Yeah, but if you set it up, you win.
It's like saying if I set up unknown hand or unknown damage, I win.
Yeah, but you do that in a turn.
Yeah,
Right. So this is not a turn.
it's 2 turns.
So you have to get all of those basics into play, keep them
Yeah.
around,
Just hit your VIPs.
and then hit every rare candy.
Yeah. Well, you only need to hit Arceus really, and then you start comboing. Arceus plus 1 piece of the Charizard or rare candy because you go Arceus for Pidgeot rare candy, then you grab the other piece you're missing.
Yeah, you're gonna have all this nine card scene, right? You don't play on the draw supporter. No, definitely a list that we need to test. You know, other than Charizard, I've been playing a lot with Zoroark from Evolving Skies because now there's stage 1 EXs that I can grab. So I've been playing around a little bit with that EX and Fortress with Zoroark.
Zora gets super interesting with 151 and the evolutions.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, it does.
That'll be a really interesting deck to keep an eye on.
And Japanese decks are wild. I'm looking at a Bolton VMAX Miraidon list.
Sounds crazy.
This is crazy.
Is Bolton VMAX even a good attacker?
No. It's 30 for all the electric attached to all your Pokemon. So, I mean, it is playing the Flaffies, so like you can turbo hard, but I don't know. Arctina Rillaboom VMAX? Let's go.
I saw an Arc Corviknight VMAX, and I was like,
Yeah, I
hello.
saw that one. Yeah.
Hello.
It looks bad.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the overall vibe of a lot of the cards from Obsidian Flames is like Charizard's explorable. Everything else seems to be on too low of a power level because Lost Box and Arceus and all those old decks still exist, and they tend to be a bit better.
Well, what do you guys think of decks get improvements with some of the supporters, right? Like Gita being printed.
I think it helps Tinglu, but I don't know if that is enough.
Does it help Tinglu? Not really. If you hit it turn 1 going second, yeah, but after that, it does nothing.
Exactly.
No, the supporters are all bad for the most part.
I think Gita has potential, and Poppy is interesting, but
I don't think there's deck for him yet.
that's the problem. I don't feel there's a good enough deck.
Yeah. What does Poppy do again?
Moves to energy.
Yeah, it's kind of like Energy Switch is just better.
Yeah, but Energy Switch, you would need 2 of them.
Yeah,
And it's
but you also get a supporter.
True.
Yeah, but you would need 2 of them.
Okay, find one and then Arvin for the other. Or just Arvin. Forest Sale plus Energy Switch.
Yeah, Arvin's goated. Arvin is I think it's in an unfortunate spot of because Lost Box exists, the efficiency of just finding whatever you want in your deck, you just do it via Comfies and Coolresses, and eventually you're just going to see your whole pile. But like a tutor engine like Arvin is so strong.
Especially because we have a computer
In, like,
search as a
normal-
tool.
Yeah, like if we had this, I don't know, back in like 2018, 2019, it'd be so good. But now it's not nothing because it's one tutor. It's kind of slow. Don't you want to just like flower selecting, get your deck down, super rot it, energy cycle?
We did have it back then. It was called Guzma and Hala.
Oh, that's true. It
Yeah.
was a good card.
It was. Not quite the same, but pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we so any kind of big kind of breakthroughs, or have we just kind of relegated to playing the same old?
Nothing huge.
TBD. Once we
Yeah.
find a way to
Yeah.
break the paradise, the paradise resort.
Paradise Resort.
Yeah, that's when
I'm telling you, side of control.
it's gonna happen.
Ooh. Do I need to pick up a playset?
You could have picked up a playset at Worlds.
Yeah.
That implies that I'd have had to have been attending World.
No. You could have been a spectator and just bought some off somebody.
True.
Okay, so speaking of worlds, what are our thoughts? The event was ran this past weekend for us, which would be 2 weeks from now, or a week from now, and yeah, what's our overall thoughts on it? Did we think it was a good time? Obviously, we weren't there, so we can't really say one
I
way
had
or
a
the
great
other.
time.
But
It was amazing. You guys should have been there.
Yeah, I
living by proxy, it was pretty fun.
love staying up till 5 a.m. every day.
I didn't stay up.
I think both Trenton and I did.
Yeah.
I think like the TCG side was interesting. The finals were a bit of a funny situation in the end, where it ended up going into time, and Tord lost because of time, leading to Vance to win. With
Time is a very interesting concept at Worlds. I didn't realize Pokemon would have time in their Worlds, and it is unusual.
In finals,
I feel like
yeah.
most games, even going into Top Cut,
Right.
time goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of silly that like you can have a game, a World's final, or even Top Cut, end by that result.
yeah, because I think meta-wise for this too, Fusion Muse showed up in droves.
Okay, I want to put a pin in Fusion Mew. Do we think people were, as in I want to talk about it now, do we think people were sleeping on Fusion Mew, or people were hiding Fusion Mew?
I think it's more of the people were trying to make sure others weren't paying attention to it. Because people had to be testing that.
I think what happened is, right, so this isn't going to happen again unless they change it back, right, with the day 2 invitations. Is
true.
a lot of the decks that were chosen to be ran on day 1 of Worlds, Mew had either a 50% matchup or slightly in its favor for how quick it was. And I think all the top players saw that. I believe they saw the field and knew that having to see your whole, half of your deck within the first 2 turns with the final pieces you need to get a quick start is a good choice. Because even a lot of Lost Box games were really running too many counters, and there was a few people running Spirit Tomb respecting you. It definitely looked like those View players tested against Spirit Tomb, because I saw Fusion Energies on Genesect so many times in the broadcast.
Yeah, it definitely to me reads like there were people who understood Fusion Mew could win, and they blabbed out the lines. Like I think that's what happened, and they kept it under their belt. Like I would be surprised if many or any of the content creators posting tier lists had mentioned Fusion Mew at all,
Or at least as a
and not
top
necessarily, yeah, or say it could win or something. Not necessarily out of we're being sneaky tee-hee, but just out of we don't you don't need no one knows. This is purely a hard play testing thing. These people who tested know this is going to come through.
I think it's another another consideration is it's one of those decks that sure its turns can take a while, but it also closes out games really fast.
True.
You just kind of swing for big numbers and you're probably not going to time very frequently.
Yeah,
Right.
some of the final games were just boom, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I
And
saw.
not necessarily in a good way too.
Yeah, I don't think I saw a single. Well, that's an exaggeration. I didn't see many good matches on stream. I saw so many bad
There
oh,
were some
dead hand,
some
I lose.
stinkers on stream.
Yeah.
It was
there's
very
a Mew Mirror in particular, where it was Ice Cube pass, and it just got donked.
Yeah.
Well,
Another Ice Cube.
Yeah.
as far as deck choices, right? If I was attending the World Championship and I was looking at the meta, the one card I would look at that's going to be probably in 90% of people's decks is Iono, right? And at that point, you choose a deck that
Draws out of it.
yeah, it cuts those variants, right? If you, I mean, there's the barrel and other like drawing against like Curlia, but even the Gardevoir players, like you have to evolve um, your Curlias into your Gardevoirs. So it, definitely Iono had a bigger impact. So I think that was the reason you did so well, just consistent with the Drata cards or Drata
Mm-hmm.
Ionos.
So really interesting. I feel like I would have lost money on a bet on Fusion Mew. I think pretty easily.
Yeah, I think it got slept on for sure. And then there's 3 in the top 4 or 8.
Yeah.
Now the question is, how many people are going to be playing Fusion Mew at our locals?
I mean, everyone owns the deck.
Yeah.
It's so
Mm-hmm.
cheap.
I mean,
I'm
there
just going to go ahead and slip a Drapion back in my deck.
you were right though. There was 3 out of the top 4, right? For Fusion Mew.
Oh,
Top
top
eight.
8.
Well,
First,
3 out of the top 4 were also Fusion Mew.
first,
Yeah,
4th,
they all-
and 5th. So Azul,
So
Oh,
2 out of the
Advance
top
were
4.
2 out of top 4.
Oh, okay. I thought Tor played one in top 4 as well. His
I
finals.
Believe he played. No, it was his top 4 placement was Lost Tina.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Another deck that didn't show up. Rip Dicey.
Yeah, Lost Tina's probably I would have bet on winning.
Mm-hmm.
It was close. It was really
Yeah.
close.
Right?
And not a
So
not a single RCS until like
or Lugia.
top 64.
How far down was the Lugia deck?
There was a
Probably
Lugia in
top
top
16.
top 12th place Lugia. Yes,
Miraidon almost snuck its way in there.
Yeah,
So yeah, we had
Mahone was
Miraidon.
trying.
We had Miraidon and Chen Pao doing better than RCS, which is pretty accurate.
Was Cyrus playing the Chempao Day 2 as well?
Yep, Chen Pao
Okay.
Palkia.
Okay.
Is Arceus just white Miraidon?
True. No.
It's worse. The standings don't lie.
So with Worlds comes the new announcement of the mechanics coming out for the next set. And we know of 2 coming up. One is going to be the what's it called, Scarlet? What was
Paradox
the game? Paradox Pokemon,
The past and
which is
future.
just another fusion single rapid strike tagging, which is fine. I think that's fine. Nothing super special. And then we have the return of A-Specs. So what are people's thoughts on Paradox Pokemon? Do we like them continuing to do this tag as the mechanic type deal, or do we think it's better than another tag team X thing?
I mean, we've been doing it for a decade at least. With like Team Magmas, Team Aquas, stuff like
Tag
that.
team,
Yeah.
Ultra Beast. So it's a pretty common thing at this point. I personally like it just because it kind of gives a bit more. It gives you a bit more knobs and dials to change when it comes to card design. Having ancient or future Pokemon is like only do X with future Pokemon, which is both like extremely parasitic, which is in gaming terms means like it's really only works within a very specific thing. It's like, Paradox Pokemon that are, I want ancient ones. The cards that care about ancient ones only ever work with ancient cards, and you can't really expand on that unless you make more.
Cough, Mew, cough.
Yep, like Mew and the fusion stuff. And so I like the idea of the ancient and future, that tag. It's worked well with the single and rapid. I think that was a pretty good balance of having interesting, tags between the cards and them feeling pretty different. We've only seen like 8 cards, if that. I think like 6 actually of the new stuff, and it's not a lot of like if you have an ancient, do X and Y, except like Iron Moth I think cares. Like you can move Pokemon, you can move energy. No, not Brute Bonnet. That's the one. If you have an ancient energy booster capsule, you can make both active Pokemon poisoned. So we're definitely getting a tool card based upon the booster energy from the games, which turned on the abilities in the game for the Paradox Pokemon. So it's kind of neat to see that be translated into the card game. But I think the knockout right now is Screamtail is like the big winner of the cards we've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an easy one of auto include into Gardevoir.
Yeah, 90 HP basic.
I think it might even be a more of. Like, I think this might turn into the new attacker.
Once the Shining Arcana Gardevoir rotates, maybe.
And Zacian.
And that's specifically what I'm thinking of, is
Right.
the rotation.
Yeah.
Right, but there's, I mean, it unlocks variant types of things. Like you can include bravery charms to hit higher numbers, right? Not towards the 360 with the
Right.
reprint, but like
Cape.
yeah, but like now the balloon and springboard
True.
give you more options to have
You
one
could-
price attackers.
You could cut the little Gardevoirs altogether and just play basic attackers.
Use Curly as a draw engine, and then solely focus on dumping all of your energy,
Yeah.
and then just
Maybe.
power up and swing.
Do I need to buy another Champions Festival?
No, there's the new stadium coming out where you discard.
We
your
don't know when it's coming out.
Oh, it'll be this set. It'll be whatever the next set
Maybe.
is.
Hopefully.
I do. I just remember back when Ultra Beasts were a thing, like Buzzwole was
Yeah.
like the Sledgehammer Buzzwole was good for so long in like so many decks.
But kind of independent of being a Ultra Beast.
Right.
It's just good.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what this mechanic will end up being is, it's just fine. Like, it's not really a mechanic so much as just a type attribute tag on a card.
And I'd be fine with that. I'd
Yeah.
like that honestly more than adding Rapid Strike and Fusion Strike and that kind of stuff back.
Because it varies. Like the Rapid Strike, Fusion Strike, and Single Strike were all kind of like built-in archetypes, whereas the
Yeah.
Ultra Beasts were kind of good independently.
Yeah, you could play them like in almost every deck, at least for Buzzwole.
So
And a couple other ones as
we'll
well.
see what way these ones lean towards.
I think the big announcement, and the one I'm most excited for, but also cautious about, A-Specs.
Computer
The
search,
goats
computer
are
search.
back. Now, I say that. A-Specs, great. Love A-Specs. Hate A-Specs. Love A-Specs. Do we think they're coming back 1-to-1? Or, because we saw the logo was a little different, is it going to be slightly different? Do we think it's going to be the same as they were before?
I think we could.
And for people who may not know, A-Specs are a type of card that came out a while back. I don't remember the
2012.
sets, and I'm not going to look it up.
It's back in 2012.
I'm not gonna-
Boundaries Cross
I'm not
was the
gonna look
first
at-
one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look it up. And what they did is you could have one in your deck, one A-Spec total, kind of like Prism,
Or Shining.
and it was
Be
an
more
item,
relevant.
or Shining, kind of like it was an item card. I'm not going to look it up. It was an item card that usually replicated some kind of powerful effect of a card from days long past, or some kind of powerful effect for like just a super strong attachment or an item or tool or something. The best ones being Dowsing Machine and Computer Search, both of which were discard cards, and then the Dowsing Machine would add from your discard pile to your hand, and Computer Search would search for any cards from your deck to your hand. They also had something like Master Ball, and a couple other
The other
various
big
cards
one was
like that, some
Scramble Switch,
potions.
which lets you like retreat, and I believe it
Yeah.
also
Oh
healed.
yeah.
Scoop Up Cyclone is also kind of
Yep.
relevant.
Yeah. You just picked up any card, put it to your hand.
So really strong cards, but only one in your deck. And they were played until they were no longer printed. They were, and it's still played and expanded. Like they are, when you build an expanded deck, your core cards are always some A-Spec,
Yeah.
usually Dowsing Machine or Computer Search, one or the other, depending on how.
And
your
when
deck
they were in
functions.
standard, also, you just like you played one.
Yes, you there was zero reason to never play one, which has its upsides and downsides. And with that said, super powerful cards, great, very fun, really cool when you get to use and see them. Do we think they're coming back 1-to-1? Do we think we're getting Computer Search and Dowsing Machine and Scoop the Cyclone, and what do we think?
I hope so, because I own 4 Computer Search.
That's 4 decks right there.
Although the funny thing is, if they reprint Computer Search, the new one will probably be like 10 times cheaper than the old one.
Totally.
But
Well, I would hope so. It's like $50.
yeah,
They're less. They're like 30.
It's
okay.
not bad.
That's fair.
Unless
but
Expanded comes back, wink, wink.
but I could also see them doing some interesting stuff like a spec like Battle Compressor or a spec versus Seeker.
Oh,
man.
But
that's a
Compressor would
great
be
point.
sick.
I
Yeah.
think what
Yeah.
they might do is bring back some of the better ones, like Dowsing Machine. Because realistically, Dowsing Machine, Computer Search, we have these effects right now in Standard.
Yeah.
Just worse.
Like they exist
we?
and they're ran, right? Like
Oh, Cramomatic and
Cramomatic plus, Arceus searches for 2 cards, Pidgeot searches for a card repeatedly every turn without discarding. There are these effects that tutor or search cards out already in Standard. Dowsing Machine's a little bit more unique. There's not really a lot of get back from discard cards. That one I could see they retrain it in some way. But I like that idea of seeing like a VS Seeker or a Compressor or those like cards that came after that were equally powerful as a retrain to be a 1-of.
Or it goes the other way. Because Casey brought up a good point. A lot of the original A specs were functional reprints of old cards. So what if we get A spec Gust of Wind?
Ooh.
I wouldn't like it.
A spec scoop up net, just regular old scoop up net as an A spec.
I think
That was
scoop up
Cyclone.
That was
Well,
Cyclone.
no,
right.
Cyclone though was any Pokemon.
Yeah.
It wasn't like limited.
But like any OG trainer card
Or-
just as an A spec.
A spec
Or we
Bill.
could get
True.
A spec Forest of Giant Plants.
That was Prism. A spec Professor's Research.
You mean Professor Oak or whatever it was?
A spec's Professor's Letter.
Nah. No, I think I could see like some of the OP cards from like Black and White though, and X and Y
That
like
would be
coming
cool.
back.
I love some
Yeah.
black and white reprints.
Yeah, just give us like Versus Seeker, Battle Compressor.
Oh, it'd be so
I'm
good.
playing Dark Box if we get Battle Compressor.
Why wouldn't
Oh,
you just
yeah.
play Lugia?
Yeah,
'Cause I
that's
wanna
fine.
play Dark
Imagine
Box.
you go for a Seal Stone, grab my Battle Compressor my Archeops.
You can't use Summoning Star.
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. You play Cramomatics.
No, I mean, I guess what's going to be important is if they key them items, then, what Case has been talking about for months now is how important Arvin becomes
Right.
in the format, right? Like, being able to search an A-Spec and a Forest Steel Stone, it's a really powerful open.
Yeah. Imagine Arvin searching a Forest Seal Stone and a computer search.
Oh, I think computer search is actually kind of bad. So I think the decks that want it are already really good. Like
Yeah, but they still
Gardevoir.
play it.
Gardevoir would eat up a computer search. Eat it up. But then other decks would be, it's good. Obviously, it's good.
Gardevoir might almost like the other one.
Housing.
Dowsing, yeah.
True.
Just
What if we got A-Spec Propagation Execute?
You only ran
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
that's what I'm
anyways.
thinking. Do we start getting A specs that aren't
Items.
items?
Probably
Yeah.
not.
And now, I mean, back then they were all items, but now they're going to be also separated into tools. So
Yeah.
obviously we're probably going to get some kind of A spec tools. But do we say A spec stadiums?
But there were no expect
do we say A
tools
spec
ever.
Pokemon?
Yeah,
do we
there
see
were.
A spec
Well,
There
energy?
was the ones for
So most
Kyurem
of the
and
A
Black and
specs
White.
were actually
Yeah.
tools. You had, I think it was
L-
like
Life
Rock
Dew was a
Guard,
big one,
G
too.
Booster, G Scope,
Yeah,
Life Dew
Those were
was
A
for
specs,
Vic-
weren't they? Yeah.
yeah.
Victory Piece
All the bad
was
ones.
another one. Crystal Edge, Crystal Wall. Most of the A specs were actually tools, and most of them were bad.
Yeah. The item ones were the good ones for the most part.
Mhm.
Except Life Dew could be used in like some one price decks.
Some good control.
Yeah,
decks.
there was like I remember that being a tech
Yeah. Sableye
because you could like cycle it. Yep, you could cycle it to keep them from ever getting prizes. So I think it's cool. I think we will likely see A specs of non-items and tools. I wouldn't be surprised to be an A spec stadium. I think they might treat this like Shining or Prism.
We never got a shining non-Pokemon.
Yeah, but the same concept.
Radiant.
No,
like,
they they have to treat them like prisms because like the prisms, the stadiums at least said they couldn't be removed with like tools and stuff or like
Mhm.
items and stuff. Because like imagine like your one A spec gets attached to a Pokemon or like put in play and your phone's just like, all right, lost vacuum. And then yeah,
Right. I mean,
So-
so yeah, if that's the case, then I'm gonna start picking up my river rooms now.
Oh, that would be very interesting to see. I thought the old items could be detached, right?
yeah,
Like were affected.
The
Yeah,
A-specs,
but
yes,
prisms were
not
not. That's
prisms.
right. That's right.
yeah. But yeah, prisms did have the thing on it where you couldn't remove the stadiums with like field blower.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I mean, Field Blower was an insane card. Could we get A-Spec Field Blower?
That would be a good ace
That
back.
would,
Yeah.
A-Spec Floatstone?
but my oh, my issue with my issue with ace specs were always the one ofs. I
mean, yeah.
dislike one ofs in card games, and so having these kind of super powerful one ofs was always kind of frustrating. Either because they'd get prized, or you wouldn't see it till the bottom half of your deck, and it's too late, or one ofs just always pose problems. With Arvin, his stock goes up if these just release like not necessarily all reprints, but we get like some good ones, because some of these effects are worth using your supporter to go find.
Oh, for sure. You know what else that's worth using to find? Your Pidgeot.
No, I can't. No, I can't actually think of anyone else who would be able to do it.
Pidgeot for computer search?
It's true.
So good.
Pidgeot stock's going out.
Pidgeot is
Pidgeot
already
for-
computer
I know.
search. Pidgeot for dowsing machine is kind of
Yeah.
cool. But so I'm of the mind, I don't think they're going to reprint any of the previous A-Specs. I think they're going to all make new ones. I think they'll all be different retrains. Battle Compressor is a good call. VIP or VS Seeker, Battle VIP Pass.
Imagine after it rotates, they're like, "Here's Battle VIP Pass, but as a one-up."
Two.
But you can use it anytime during the
A-Spec.
game.
Ugh.
I actually could see that.
Probably Quick Ball or
Nah,
any of those
not
other
Quick
really
Ball.
powerful balls.
Quick
I
Ball
mean, Master Ball.
was just
Master Ball is
Master Ball.
the existing.
Yeah, Master Ball was just, I think, search for
Correct.
anything,
Yeah,
right?
no
like, it
drawdown.
wasn't. Yeah. That was like always like the fringe playable one. We'll probably see a bunch of items. I would see whatever the like tentpole Pokemon will be for the set. We'll probably get some number of the A-Spec tools.
Yeah. Speaking of Master Balls, though, if any
but,
of you guys
yeah.
have one, I need some Master Balls.
I think I do. Have
It'll be.
some.
I think it's cool. I think it's. I'm definitely more excited about A-Specs than the other mechanic I can't remember the name of.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, but only because we don't know anything else about the A-Specs.
Yeah.
Now,
It could be disappointing.
with ancient and future mechanic, right? Like we know we're going back to A-Specs and whatnot. Do you feel like Pokemon International is going back to a powerful, basic EX type of format?
Well, we're kind of like do you mean EX like basics or
Yeah.
EXs in general? Because
Basics.
we're already kind of in a basic format. We have one in the basics that the decks that aren't Gardevoir. It's really only stage ones and not much farther than that. Like you have Chen Pao, which is another one, but it's also because it's just Rain Dance, and that's kind of a universal. If it exists, people are going to play it. But most decks are basic decks.
I
Arceus is
disagree.
a weird self-contained engine,
There's like
just because it does so much absurd stuff.
one basic deck in the format. Two. 1.5.
I think that as soon as like all these Sword and Shield cards rotate, I think they're trying to get us back to a more evolution format.
The problem is these Paradox Pokemon are all going to be basic EXs,
Yeah.
and they look
Uh-huh.
pretty okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And most of them aren't even EXs; they're just Paradox.
There's a couple.
Yeah,
of
but the big
But
basic
I-
paradoxes are like really high HP.
I think they're not like a full deck by themselves though. For the most part, most
Yeah.
of them are like just a one of like tech in most deck or like some decks.
Yeah, and I think we will likely see decks do the utility evolution Pokemon and then basic attackers and
Which I'm fine with. Like as long as we have like, utility, like some form of evolution, I think it's fine.
We go back to Zoroark GX plus any Pokemon.
I don't think we'll ever go back to something like that.
The golden days.
Yeah.
let's move into our thoughts on best of one versus best of three decks. Now, this is something I'm actually not too knowledgeable on, and the concept of like switching between the two. So, who wants to step up and educate me?
I guess I'll start, right? Like, so in a best of three and a best of one format, you really want to think about the tournament structure, right? Like when you're deck deciding. So, like in the current format, we have league challenges, league cups, regional championships, and then international championships, and then like worlds. Which the top three are a best of three format cut to some sort of top cut, which is top eight. Uh, the formats play very differently when you decide to bring a deck. It's a best of three opposed to best of one, right? So in a best of one format, you're looking to build your deck in a way that it can consistently do what it wants to do every game, right? Which is to say you don't want to do that with best of three, but it's more so of less tech cards for certain matchups, more synergy, and making sure your deck does what it does. And in that case, there are certain matchups where you're taking auto loss, right? You won't have a counter to a certain type of deck that just completely stops your deck. So, like, something that comes to mind, like a flying Pikachu versus, an all basic deck. Like, you take that loss automatically, but your deck sets up, going first or going second. You're able to attack as soon as possible and get the game done as quickly as possible. So, like, decks that do that really well in our current format are decks like, I would say, Chin Pao and Miraidon are good choices if you were to go to the best of one format. Fusion Strike Mew, another really good deck. It's going to do the same thing every single time. I would say from like the top sources, that would be some of the decks off top of hand. And
Lugia.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
Lugia is one of those weird
Yeah.
ones where it's like, it's a flowchart deck, so you kind of do the same actions every
Yeah.
game. But
You
what
get it
you
or you
draw,
miss it.
yeah, you get it or miss it. So it's really easy to know. Did I get there? Yep, cool, we're going. Did I not? Nope. Okay, GG.
right,
You just
and
run
that can,
hot.
yep, and that's the type of deck that most likely will get you the 15 points at a challenge. Now going into a um, cup scenario, you take those same um, building structures as you would the challenge, right? Because challenge is final placement that you get the awarded points. But at cup, it's best of one, X amount of rounds, and then you go into the top eight, that's best of three. So then you want to
Or
start,
top four.
yeah, or top four based on how many people. But then you want to select decks that uh, not only do its game plan every single time, but maybe designate 5% of your decks or three cards that are certain tech pieces that help you better out the tough matchup. Just so you give yourself the best chance in top cut to take the whole thing down, right? Because someone in a cup can go EXO, be seated first place, and then lose the 8th place or lose the 4th place, and then they get 8th through 5th. Opposed to a challenge, you just want to build your deck through the does one hot. Now, going to a regionals or higher in a best of three format consistently, that's where decks like Gardevoir or Lost Box do really well because, Trent could test this. If you flower select and you hit two key pieces in the matchup, then a lot of the times that game is pretty unfavorable, but it's less likely for that to happen in the best 2 out of 3 scenario. And you can build your deck accordingly to do that. Same with Gardevoir. If you don't get the VIP passes, you're not just going to get rolled over with the non-rolls. And, maybe you start with Celia and Manaphy or anything. You have those other opportunities to get your deck set up, and once it's set up, it's the most powerful deck in the format.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that was pretty well said. But I think there are also, if you want to play a best of three deck in a best of one format, I think you also can do that. And there are things you can do to make it better for you in a best of one format. For example, adding something like a Mirage Step Curlia to Gardevoir, or adding Trekking Shoes to Lost Box. Just like
Right.
some consistency cards can also help you if you're playing a best of three deck in a best of one format.
Right, like a third Forest Seal Stone and Lost Box is something that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Adding extra consistency, but sacrificing tech cards. No, like you have to cut something for those trekking shoes. So maybe you're not playing a grass attacker for the Charizard, or hypothetically, you're probably not.
Or maybe
anyway.
you're cutting like your Drapion
Sure.
for
Yeah.
some more specific piece or something.
There
That's
we go.
probably a better example.
Okay, so can you just take any best of 3 deck and make it a best of 1, or are there different, like, are there actual limitations on being able to make a best of 1 specific deck?
Any deck can either be a best of 1 or a best of 3 deck, right? Because you chose that certain archetype. It's probably a set, I would say maybe 36 to 48 cards that designate that deck as its archetype. It's what you do with the last 25 to 15% of that deck based on the type of things that you go into, right? Also known as format, making predictions, right? We saw probably a lot of that in this year's World, where people just chose to bring decks that are fantastic in best of 3 and gave the most consistency odds with adding certain cards, right? So notably, I saw, like what Trenton said, Mirage Step earlier in Torrecto's Gardevoir deck, and he also played an unusual card, Lost Vacuum.
Over the third
As, like,
stadium, I saw that.
Yeah, they gave him an additional out, and also gave him an out to some of the Gardevoir counter tools that he thought might be deck script, like Box of Disasters or Planet Fast. So that's taking your 15% of your deck and making it the most consistent and teching. That's where the term like teching comes in. That's more, it gets more implied at best of 3. And then in best of 1, it's just consistency. You want your archetype to do what it does every single game to give you the best chance to win. With sacrificing match percentages to certain matchups, hoping to dodge that matchup, or maybe ID with it, or goes into a draw. But the tough thing about best of 1s is you predict wrong, you could play against that deck 50% of the time. So to answer your question, Casey, any deck can fit into both pieces. It's what you do with your X amount of percentages makes the difference between the two.
Although there are some of those decks that like there's very little wiggle room in what you can pull out to optimize it for best of 1 or best of 3.
Yeah, something like the Arceus decks tend to be very reliant on getting the Arceus plus energy attach, and they build the deck to do that. And that just comes down to variance. So those kind of decks thrive in best of 3, where you can hope the games 2 or 3, if you need to go to those, that you'll get the right variance. But in best of 1, it's brutally punishing. Just because, like, I started Luminion, I didn't want this, and now I really can't get out of it. So, well, that's it. Run over.
You miss and you lose.
Yeah.
Right.
Those kind of all-in decks have a really hard time converting from best of 3 to best 1. It's not impossible, as I've won a best of 1 event with.
You can just high roll. Like there is the possibility of just high rolling.
Yeah, it's luck. High roll. If you can high roll, you can win. Like, luck is better than skill most of the time.
True.
Right. I posted like in a best of 1 format, like 5 recommendations. Much as I hate that we say Miraidon and Blue Miraidon being Chinpao, like those decks archetypes does what it wants to do pretty much from the start. Any of the trainer cards unlock Miraidon pretty much get every basic out.
Yeah. They're very aggressive, very fast.
So, what kind of mental changes do you have to make when going from a best of 1 to a best of 3, if any? Like, do you have to change play patterns going into a best of 3 deck when it's a best of 1 built, or vice versa?
Yeah, so in a best of 1 format, you're more likely to take risk in a best of 1 and in hoping that it pays off, right? So I've seen a ton of players do this where they will reserve resources in their hand opposed to playing that research to search for the specific card to get them to knock out. So I would say that play pattern, you want to be a little bit more aggressive, um, with 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 good intentions, right? If there's a certain card that's in your hand, when you're comparing research to, I don't know, you're like, if I don't have this card at some point in the match, do I lose? Those are the type of things that you start to think about. Um, and in best of three, like you are on a time crunch, you want to avoid draws. So you do have that option to concede a game if you don't foresee yourself winning, to give yourself more time to complete game two and game three to not force the draw. Um, and then there's the other side of the coin where players will, in a closed deck in this format, they will force all 6 prizes from their opponent just to see a little bit more pieces of their deck to get up like better game frames for game 2 and 3. So there's microtransactions in both types of tournaments that you want to be worried about and know about. And then, I mean, and there's also the factor in best of one, if you're playing an aggressive deck that either wins or loses quickly, you do get up from the table a lot sooner, and then you get to start to spectate some of the top tables to start seeing um, possible future opponents, right? So, like, if I was going to go to a League Cup, I'd play, probably an aggressive deck that has a good 2 or 3 matchup and get done as quick as possible to start seeing the top tables as potential challengers in top 8. So those are some play patterns that you can think about.
There's nothing better than a round 1 bye. Just walking around seeing what everyone else is playing before you have to play your first match.
Absolutely.
All right, that's really useful information. Any last thoughts on best of 1 versus best of 3?
Don't do best of 1, but always do best of 3.
Best of 3 challenge this weekend? Question mark?
Best of 3 challenge? Question mark?
I'm not doing a best of 3 challenge. I refuse.
Yeah.
I will not run a best of 3 challenge.
Best of 3 cups I'd be fine with. Best of 3 challenges is like, it's kind of too much time for the reward.
The shop doesn't open early enough to do best of 3 challenges.
True.
Yeah, probably.
I'd
Well,
want to
if
start.
it was only 4 rounds, you probably could.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd want to start at like 10.
Yeah.
That way we can get done in time for Chi.
No.
No one's gonna get that reference.
Chi Yu, EX?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
solve the riddle.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'd definitely love to hear from the viewers any questions or thoughts that they would have about best of 1 or best of 3. And, this is definitely a topic that we can revisit. We hope to bring some sort of piece of education into the universe of Pokemon. And we'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, we will be playing a lot of best of 1 this coming week.
Closing statement, just add Honolulu. We'd hope to see you guys in Honolulu.
Yeah, Honolulu for Worlds, I think, will be super. They haven't gone. So they've gone to the islands before.
Twice.
3 times actually.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah, but this is the first time going to Honolulu. So it'll be interesting to see where they end up setting up. There's been some interesting discussion about the idea of them going to Worlds, but in the islands again. But
True.
that's a different podcast job to discuss that.
Go to Twitter if you want to see that kind of stuff.
Yes. That's what you said. Add in the closing statement.
But what sucks is flights are as expensive as Japan typically. So,
So, boy, are our arms going to be tired. All right, thanks, everyone, for listening to this episode of Mildly Competitive, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Peace.
Later.
see ya.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Mildly Competitive Podcast. If you enjoyed what you saw or heard, be sure to follow us on YouTube or Spotify.